From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, July 31st. It's going to be a beautiful day weather-wise, sunny and mild for the morning, and then it'll warm up to the low 80s with a small chance of rain and lower humidity. And while the summer swelter is starting to ease in some states, more than 70 million people across the country are still under heat alerts as a historically hot July finally ends. The heat's been unceasing in the Southwest for weeks. Phoenix, Arizona has hit a high of at least 110 degrees every day this month. In Nevada, Las Vegas is setting several heat records, including its hottest recorded 2-week stretch ever. The temperatures averaged at least 100 degrees. Today, city officials and Muncie police plan to hold a news conference addressing violence. There was a mass shooting over the weekend. They said that there is no ongoing threat to the community, but at this point, no one is under arrest. And it's not clear what happened to the shooter or shooters. Here's what we know. A 30-year-old man was killed and 19 people, some critically wounded, were taken to hospitals after the mass shooting. The city and police say it all started early Sunday morning at around 1:15. Witnesses say that around 100 people were at a block party near South Hackley and East Willard Streets when the gunfire started. A spokesperson for Ball Memorial Hospital says 19 people were sent there. 4 ended up being transferred to other hospitals. 13 are recovering there now, and 2 were treated and went home. We don't know their ages or the extent of their injuries. The family of the man who was killed says that he was 30-year-old Joseph Bonner. He's known as Joe Smooth. His uncle is a community activist and says the community has seen a lot of loss. Nothing ever like this. And yesterday afternoon, people held an impromptu prayer session at McCulloch Park, not far from the crime scene. A gospel celebration was supposed to happen yesterday afternoon and was canceled. All week, the city had been celebrating its Back to Muncie celebration. Organizers say although the block party where the shooting happened was not connected to the celebrations, everyone can feel its impact. And police say a motorcyclist is dead after a multi-vehicle crash in Hancock County. It happened yesterday afternoon on US 36 between McCordsville and Fortville. According to the Hancock County Sheriff's Department, investigators believe Robert Suesdak was speeding when he tried to pass several vehicles and hit a pickup. Medics pronounced Suesdak dead at the scene. Authorities say no one else was injured. Today, a demonstration against the state's abortion ban the day before it's set to go into effect. Organizers say they'll hold a vigil this evening at the Monroe County Courthouse in Bloomington. The groups Hoosier Jews for Choice and Indiana Now are hosting it. Rallies are also set in Crown Point, Fort Wayne, Michigan City, Valparaiso, and South Bend. Indiana's Attorney General says the state's new abortion law will not impact how he approaches cases against women who get abortions. Todd Rokita spoke with News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist in this Sunday's edition of All Indiana Politics.
We expect Indiana's new abortion law will go into effect around the beginning of August. That's because a prior court order that put it on hold has now been lifted. I asked Attorney General Todd Rokita if this would potentially lead to criminal prosecutions of women who obtain abortions outside the confines of that law.
Well, a couple of things. I don't think the law doesn't account for that, so no. The answer is no. I don't have that kind of authority. At all. And if this goes to the salacious and false narrative that's out there right now about how some attorneys general want personal medical records, let me just say this. It's disgusting. The only people who want to change anything with regard to those medical records is the Biden administration and the far left. They're making the change. What we're calling for is simply the status quo. Anything I'm being accused of going to do after August 1st, if I was able to get a hold of these records, is the same that I could do today, right now. And so if I was guilty of all these things that we're being accused of, I would have already done them. All we're calling for is the status quo. And the reason that is because we are supposed to be living in a society that respects the rule of law. And that's my job, is to make sure the rule of law is upheld. And to do that, I have to keep people accountable. The way you do that in society today is you go and look at records. And so when it calls for looking at records, regardless of where they are, I want to be able to look at records wherever they are, just like I can today. I want to be able to do that after Biden's proposal. But right now, that proposal would prohibit me from upholding accountability.
All Indiana Politics airs every Sunday morning at 9:30 exclusively on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
Mike Pence is on the clock. The former vice president and Indiana governor wants to be on the stage for the Republican presidential debate. As we've reported, he has the polling numbers to qualify, but so far hasn't reached the fundraising minimums. The debate is set for August 23rd. Other hopefuls who have not qualified: former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, radio host Larry Elder, businessman Perry Johnson, and former Texas Congressman Will Hurd. The legal team for former President Donald Trump says it is creating a defense fund to help offset some of the costs. That's according to a new CNN report. The report says the fund will be called the Patriot Legal Defense Fund. It's set to cover the bills of some of Trump's current and former aides and employees who have been wrapped up in the investigations into the former president. Trump's Political Action Committee says it's spent more than $40 million on legal fees for the former president and his associates since the start of the year. CNN also cites anonymous sources who say a Mar-a-Lago employee who oversees the property's surveillance cameras received a target letter from federal prosecutors. That puts them in the sights of a criminal investigation. According to a CNN report, the worker received the letter after Trump was first indicted in June for his handling of classified documents. The report says the employee met with investigators and provided some of the information used for the secondary indictment filed last week. In Colts Watch, another twist in the awkward drama developing between the team and its top runner. Jonathan Taylor denies a widely reported claim that the team may place him on the non-football injury list because of back pain. Taylor's new comment comes in a tweet. It says, 1, never had a back pain. 2, never reported back pain. Not sure who sources are, but find new ones. ESPN reported that Taylor showed up to training camp complaining about back pain. The story came out the day after Taylor requested a trade after a meeting with the team owner Jim Irsay. Irsay says he's not trading Taylor. Today is the first day of practice with pads. It's also Kids Day at training camp. The first 500 fans at Grand Park will get a poster of a Colts player. Colts City opens at 9 this morning. Practice runs from 10 to 11:15. You can get autographs and pictures with the cheerleaders from 10 to noon. A man from Anderson is moving on to the USA Mullet Championship. John Poor was crowned the winner at this weekend's qualification round at the Indiana State Fair. Each year, the championship raises money for Jared Allen's Homes for Wounded Warriors, a nonprofit that builds housing for veterans. Poor served in the Air Force and says that he entered the contest to represent his fellow veterans.
I just want to represent all the veterans and American Legion riders, soldiers and sailors, airmen, women. They all need our support.
The Mullet Championship, dubbed the main event, is set for this fall. A new wildfire is burning out of control in California. Firefighters say erratic wind whipped up the York fire in the Mojave National Preserve. It has scorched some 70,000 acres so far. Earlier, a fire near San Diego called the Bonnie Fire forced 1,300 evacuations over the weekend. Forecasters expect more difficult weather with strong winds and storms likely. The Barbie box office bonanza keeps rolling. According to studio estimates, Barbie took in $93 million in its second weekend. That puts it ahead of The Dark Knight for the biggest ever release from Warner Brothers. Oppenheimer also delivered a strong second weekend with an estimate of just more than $46 million. And the Mega Millions jackpot now tops $1 billion. No one took home the top prize during Friday night's drawing. Mega Millions says the jackpot is the fourth largest in game history and the fifth of more than $1 billion. If someone wins the next drawing tomorrow night, they can choose to get the full sum over 30 years or take a lump sum of nearly $530 million. And to business headlines, X, formerly known as Twitter, has officially retired its famous blue and white bird logo. The transition from Twitter to X reflects Musk's vision to turn the platform into what he has called an everything app. Meanwhile, X has also reinstated Kanye West's account. Parents say Apple's parental controls are failing them. The Wall Street Journal reports the company has acknowledged the issue and promised to make updates to improve the situation. Apple introduced Screen Time in 2018, and it included a setting called Downtime. The feature is meant to allow parents to restrict apps and limit screen time on their children's iPhones, iPads, and iPods from their own devices. Yellow, one of the oldest and biggest U.S. trucking businesses, shut down on Sunday. The company was wrecked by a string of mergers that left it saddled with debt and stalled by a standoff with the Teamsters Union. The 99-year-old company is known for its cut-rate prices and has more than 12,000 trucks moving freight across the country for Walmart, Home Depot, and many other smaller businesses. Post-pandemic revenge spending on travel has Royal Caribbean stock up 120% year to date and nearly back to its February 2020 level. Shares in Carnival have also more than doubled in 2023, while Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings has climbed 76%. A survey of 2,000 U.S. adults found that twice as many people prefer the drive-thru to going in-store. And a third of those in the Dutch Brothers and One Poll survey who prefer drive-thru said that they will always choose that option when it's available. Results show that people are using the drive-thru for a multitude of reasons, most commonly for coffee or fast food. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com. And like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.